Hello there, beautiful, and welcome back to The Dark Alchemist. In today's reading, we will talk about what needs to die so that you can be reborn. We will look at where your energy is at right now. We will look at where your energy will be post-rebirth. And we will look at what needs to die and the story that is connected to that, as well as, of course, a practical step that you could take to move closer to this rebirth. When it comes to rebirth, we often have this idea, much like it is with breakthroughs, that there is one rebirth and then we're finished and we're reborn and that's it. And I have a slightly different perspective on the topic of rebirth. I think there are a lot of rebirths happening all throughout your lives. It's the same with life purpose. I spoke about this before, that you don't have one singular life purpose, but you have many life purposes. And depending on which phase of the life that you're currently in, you will have a different life purpose. And in order to move into the next phase of your life, there's always a rebirth, because you're always shedding the old person that you were, the old skin of yourself, so that you can be this new person that fits and has the space to grow into this new phase of your life. So rebirth and what needs to die in order for you to be reborn is really these, if we're speaking about seasons, it's the winter going into springtime, you know, it's that cusp of the season that we're speaking of today. So, you know, you will be in different points of your life, and we will look at that and we will see what's coming up for you. But I just wanted to share that first and foremost, because like I said, many rebirths that we're going through, and you know, there's always a new one around the corner somewhere. Yeah, just to get your head in the right space. We will start this off by taking a deep breath, and then we will light our candle together. So please take a deep breath in now. And out. Nice. And then we will look at the cards, the 3 piles I have, but let me first, today I don't have crystals today. I just went into the garden and I picked 3 flowers for today, so let me show them to you now. Let's look at our 3 piles. For pile number 1, we have the card of the village. For pile number 2, we have the card of the judge. And for pile number 3, we have the castle. And let me show you the flowers. For pile number 1, we have these beautiful pink flowers. For pile number 2, we have these red flowers, and they're really delicate. It's also because it's the end of summer right now, so one already fell off. So you know, but both belong into this pile anyway. So just so that you can see. I'm so scared to break those. Okay, and for pile number 3, we have this one here. Now I will zoom in for you, play a bit of music, and give you about a minute meditation where you can, you know, take a couple of deep breaths, center yourself, and then see which pile or maybe piles you feel most drawn to. You will find the timestamps as usual down below, and I'll see you in your selected piles. If you felt drawn to the village card and these little cluster of roses, then welcome to your reading. Before we get into the reading, I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like it's important for me to point out. So these roses, all the flowers I plucked from my garden just before we started this reading. And I feel like it's important to point out that these roses are currently actually in their second bloom. It's early September now as I'm filming this, and they bloomed very early this year already, and we also have 2 buds present, one and the second one is back here. And I feel like this is important somehow, and I don't know how it's important yet, but there, I said it. I'm sure it will tie into the reading at a later point, but I needed to say it first. Now, we will start this reading off by looking at where energy is at right now, to kind of get an idea of where you're at. So this is the how shall I say, like the biggest card that describes your energy that I have, but I also pulled some more to get a whole story. So I'm moving this to the side now, and then we will look at all of your energy cards for where you're at right now. We have the Bardo. We have the Shapeshifter. And we have the Mask. And I will say, for your pile, when I pulled the cards to ask the question of what needs to die, I got an immediate answer. I'm clairaudient, so I heard an immediate answer, and I will just say it now because this will guide our reading and it will come up regardless. So the answer that I heard of what needs to die is a false sense of self. So that will be the topic of our reading. And I'm saying that now because we got the Bardo, the Shapeshifter, and the Mask coming out, as well as the Village. Let me put this together for you. Let's start with the Village. The Village is a card that describes an energy, when you think of a village, and it is a space where ideally we are protected, we are secure, and ideally it's a community where people are connecting and working together to create a functioning whole. It's a supportive space, a protected space from outside sources, outside influences. If we're thinking back to when we had lots more wild animals roaming around, I say that living in Central Europe, mind you, okay, so depending on where you are, there's still plenty of wild animals that can be dangerous around. For us here, it's not. We don't have that, really. But that's to say that these settlements were also protection against, attacks from wild animals from the outside. So that is the light energy of this. However, I feel like for you, it's more about the shadow sides of this energy. And the shadow sides of this village energy is depicted as being trapped in an environment that is, instead of being protective, it is to some extent toxic and abusive. It is a space where there is just one way of being that is accepted, and everything else and everyone else that is different gets looked at funny or, hurt or harmed in some way. It is a space where there really is no room left for growth for you. That's the kind of energy. It's being suffocated by all of these ideals and all of these traditions, and that's the energy that the shadow side of the Village card brings forth. And I feel like that is where your energy is at. You are in this space of feeling suffocated by the Village. And the Village, it can be many things. Like the Village can be where you live. The Village can be a representation for your family, can be your friends, can be the society or the culture that you're in right now. It can be your workspace. There are many ways that this Village energy, when it's the shadow side, has or is affecting us. It's usually something that from inside ourselves that's mirrored in our outer world, so it shows up in all areas of our lives. That's why This is a bit fickle to pinpoint because it's everywhere. But that kind of energy is where you're at right now. And I feel like I'm not telling you anything new right now. You're like nodding your head. You're like, yeah, I know what you mean, where you're going with this. Which brings me to the bardo. First, let's have a look at the imagery. You see that there is an eye, and you see that there are all of these skulls around, and it's in the depiction of this in combination with the village, it's, you know, that you have reached some sort of impasse. It's a space where you know things are dead in a way. You know that you can't grow there anymore in that village. You can't. You have done everything you could do there, and it's time to, quite frankly, let things die. Metaphorically speaking, of course, to let things die and start anew. You're aware of that. This card, the Bardo, speaks about the liminal space in between death and rebirth. It's the space where essentially there is pure potential happening in this space. Because once you've really let go of something, or you are in the process of letting go of something, there is so much possibility and kind of this feeling of a clean slate of where do you want to go next, what do you want to do, who do you want to be. And I feel like this question of who do I want to be and who am I, what do I want to do with my life is very prevalent in your life right now. It's very active in your energy field. I feel that we have the shapeshifter here, and the shapeshifter is connected to this in two parts. The first part is the shapeshifter of you having some people-pleasing tendencies. In this village, there is a particular role that has been prescribed to you, and you have been fulfilling that role, and you've been essentially whoever you needed to be for whoever asked. You know, so you've been a specific type of partner for your romantic relationships. You've been a specific type of friends for your friends. You've been a specific type of child for your parents. It's that kind of energy that's coming through, but that is not coming from a place of unconditional love from yourself. It's coming from a place of insecurity and not knowing who you are. And when I say that, I mean, it's one way, there's one way to be the kind of friend that your friends need right now for support, but that can be centered in who you actually are. So it's more of an extension of yourself. It's like the image that they're showing me right now is that your core at this moment feels kind of a bit brittle, like it looks a bit brittle, like there are some holes there, and it's not like, it doesn't look super sturdy and alive from the inside out, you know. It looks a bit I don't know how to describe that. This image really, like with like the warm holes in it, that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And I also need to say right now that this is not your fault, okay? You were brought up in this very specific way, that you were groomed into this people-pleasing habits because it benefited the people around you, okay? So it's okay for you to be this way because that's the only way that you know how to be. So how can you be anything else? But this rebirth is centered around you tearing all of these pieces down and rebuilding yourself from the ground up. And I know it sounds scary right now, but it's actually a really beautiful process, and we will go into this a bit deeper into your reading, because really, like, I've been there myself. It's a beautiful process, because that's where the Bardo kicks back in. You have all of these possibilities, like the whole world, like once you started to tear it down, like the whole world is open to you. Because you can decide who you want to be. You can decide who you want to be. You can decide what you want to dedicate your life to. And with all of these decisions, there is a new village forming around you. And that will have all of these light attributes that the village represents, that I spoke of at the beginning. You know, and you will no longer be in this like dark side of the shapeshifter, but you will have the light side of being the shapeshifter. Now with the mask, I'm just going to take a second for both of us to look at this card, because this is the best representation of what I just spoke of. It's like you are in the shadow energy. You are masked right now. You are also, to some extent, masked from yourself. And what I mean by that is that when I asked this question earlier with the Bardo card of like, who am I? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? You yourself don't know the answer to that right now. And you don't need to know the answer to that right now. That's all part of the process. Part of the process. And I spoke about, in the intro, I don't know if you watched this, but I spoke about this reading essentially being, when we're talking about seasons, of you being in winter right now and it's springtime, and springtime is this rebirth, and the winter time is the time for introspection. You know, it's time for you to be quiet, to be introspective, and that's exactly it. You know, it's you don't need to know exactly what you're going to plant right now, because it will reveal itself. Like during the course of winter, once the ice starts to thaw, you will see which of the seeds have made it through winter. Like whatever is underneath this like large layer of ice and snow, like you will find out what's underneath it once you've gone through winter. So don't stress too much about who you are and where you want to go. Like just allow yourself some space to rest, and you know, these answers will come to you. Okay, that was already kind of a full reading in itself. Let us look at where your energy... No, actually, let's look first at what needs to die, and then we will look at where your energy will be. We have the dissolution. We have the Virgin's Milk. And it's interesting, when I just looked at this card, I heard the words like, if I could just, and if I could just, and it's this feeling of almost like you're almost blaming yourself, that if you could just adjust, if you could just change your energy a little bit, and if you could just get over yourself, like everyone else is okay with this, like why am I not okay with this? That's the kind of the like energy that's coming through, and this is very heavy in the mind as well. It's like, why is this? It's almost like things were stable for you for quite a while, and all of a sudden you're not okay with it anymore, and you're like, this needs to go, and it's almost a bit of confusion there from your end of asking yourself, why all of a sudden is that not okay for me anymore? And it's not okay for you anymore because you have reached the end of that phase, of that growth cycle. And our goal, so to speak, in coming here and living life is to keep growing and keep evolving. You know, like change is constant, but it's sometimes difficult to change in the way that we need to in the environment that we're in. All right, okay, we have two more. We have breath. And we have Jupiter. Actually, let me arrange that for a moment. Now, this fits right into what I just spoke about, because this card of dissolution speaks of the chemical operation of water and dissolving. It's a becoming formlessness. It's like a dissolving of labels, a dissolving of identities, and it's almost like a spreading out into water. When you think about, when you have a glass of water and you pour something in there that is water soluble, of course not oil, but if you, for example, you take some food coloring, or if you're a painter perhaps, and we've all done this, I guess, at some point, that we had some water, and then we, after our brush was in some paint, we put our paintbrush in there, and then to just see like slowly how the paint, that's the image that they're showing me, that's why I'm telling you, how this paint is like slowly spreading out and dissolving into this water, and first it has all of these funny shapes, and then it just starts to get thinner and thinner, and the color gets lighter and lighter until essentially it's water again, or it's like so much dissolved in water that you can't tell the particular form anymore. That is what this card speaks of. So that's something that needs to die. It's this old form, the old identity, the old labels, right? And like I said, when I pulled these cards, like what needs to die? That's the question that I posed. What needs to die for you so you can be reborn? I did hear the false self-image. That's that they told me that, the false self-image. So that's something that needs to dissolve, that needs to die. And the Virgin's milk. This is an interesting card in this context because the Virgin's milk speaks about, it has two sides. One side is that this is a sought out alchemical substance, but it always poses this question of, is it actually real? How is it possible? Because Virgin's milk is a paradox. How can a virgin have and produce milk? How is that possible without conception? Conception, is that the right word? No, it's not the right word. I swear I know about the birds and the bees. I just don't know the right English word right now. My mind is saying contraception, but that's no, conception is correct. Well, anyway, okay, I hope you're enjoying this. How can you have a baby when you've never had any sexual intercourse? Okay, is what I want to say here. And when there has been no insemination, like how is that possible for there to be milk? You know, so that's one of the questions that this card poses, is this paradox of how is this possible? On the darker side, this card speaks about a naivety, in a sense of believing that something that is so illogical is possible. So there's just like two sides of the coin. In conjunction with what's like the dissolution and dissolving all the labels in water, and the bardo, which speaks about it needs to die, there is a little bit of naivety, just a bit, for those of you who are still holding on to this idea that something is wrong for you, with you, for believing that if you can just change your energy, but if you can just get over this, if you can just, whatever it is for you, if you can just, like, you know, it's this feeling of trying to press yourself into a space that you don't fit. It's like trying to put on a pair of jeans that technically is a little bit too small for you, but you feel like if you could just, you know, like suck your stomach in far enough, then you can zip it up and you can button it up and everything will be fine. But there's one problem with this. While it may be possible for you to actually close that jeans, have you ever actually wore a jeans that was too tight? That shit is uncomfortable. Like, you know, you might be able to squeeze your way in, but it's uncomfortable forever. Like, it's uncomfortable if you walk because it pinches. It's uncomfortable if you sit because it pinches even more. It's uncomfortable if you eat because, you know, obviously the stomach expands a bit, so it's like even more uncomfortable. And just think about, like, we have to drink water all the time. Each time that you're going to the toilet, you're gonna have to do it all over again, you know. And they're like bringing this image up for me right now to give you, to kind of, this is exactly this imagery of this like little bit of naivety that they're bringing through. It's like this belief of, if you can just squeeze yourself there, you can make it work. Like, you can make it work. You can make it work. When actually, like, your guides are like, just let it go, like, let it die, like, it's done, like, just let it die. And as well, a question that I want to pose you before we continue is, actually could be a question for you to do some journaling work on as well. If you're actually thinking about this imagery of what I just posed about, even if you could make yourself squeeze in, and you would have to be so uncomfortable and miserable for your entire life, would that really be okay for you? Like think about the consequences present there. Like, would that be okay for you? Because I feel like that's a question that you might be important for you to ask yourself. Like, if that would be okay for you, actually. With that said, let's look at the other two cards. And it's funny that the breath card came out, because they gave me the image, right, of like sucking the air in, and like even when you're wearing a jeans that's too tight, like you can't even take a full breath, like it's painful, you know. And I feel like as well, it's about like breathing is life-giving, like breath is life. I also like to encourage you to take a deep breath, and even if you want to sigh it out a little bit, that's always a nice thing, and take actually 3 breaths as I continue to speak. This is really important here, okay? This breath. It's like you've been holding your breath for a really long time, and the breath for you can actually be a great regulator for noticing how you're feeling in a space. Like, yeah, well, how is your body reacting to being around certain people? And in certain environments and situations, like how is your body reacting? Because naturally, when our bodies start to tense up, the breath starts to get shorter. We breathe more shallow, and we breathe more rapidly, because we still need to kind of get the same amount of oxygen. So, you know, if you can't take a full breath, then everything speeds up, gets shorter, gets tighter, and that creates more and more tension in the body. When you start to pay attention to your breath, you can start to notice where and in which situations and in the company of which people you are very much active in the shadow side of the shapeshifter energy. Once you start to pay attention to that, okay? So that's something that you can really notice, and that's a starting point for you as well, to ask yourself, like, why am I in this company? Why am I in the company of this person, of that person? Like, what are the dynamics? You know, it's kind of a very strong indicator and a starting point for you to start investigating what's actually happening for you. Let me take a sip of water. And with Jupiter, this card speaks about expansion, possibility, and all of this future potential. And I find it interesting that this is coming up with what needs to die. It's coming up with what needs to die. And also, by the way, I want to draw your attention to how similar the colors are of these two. We have the black and we have all of these rainbow colors, but they're kind of, you know, also here, they're engulfed by this heavy dark energy that's depicted here. And it's like this. You can try to squeeze yourself in this space. You can try to make it work. But what will die as a result of you doing this is all of this beautiful potential that you have. All of these possibilities for experiencing all of this like rainbow color of emotion, or the rainbow energy in all of your life. What I mean by rainbow color is, I mean, you know, it could be queer, but it don't have to be. It speaks more about this abundance, this richness, experiencing the richness of life, of experiencing, building something that is really dear to your heart, finding this village that is, like I said, this supportive qualities where you can grow and expand and you can be yourself and you can be different, and all of this is encouraged, you know. It's kind of that kind of energy, like all of this brightness that your soul is craving. Because if your soul is not craving this next phase, like, you will never feel as uncomfortable as you do now, okay? If you're okay where you are, you would feel comfortable. Point blank. Like, your whole system would be on board with what you're doing, and it would be a good idea, and you would know it. You know what it feels like when things are right. Like, you know that. That's why you feel it so strongly when things are not going right anymore, and when environments are not right anymore. That's why it's so painful. Is because you experience this disparity between how it was like when things were right and when they're not anymore, you know. And by the way, as well, you're not bad for wanting to leave a situation when it's not right for you anymore. like I said, things are right for you for a specific season of your life, specific phase of your life, and it changes. Like, we're all growing, you're growing. So what you need changes with that. So this is something that needs to die. It's like the cutting yourself off from all of this potential, all of these possibilities that are clearly there. Once you're shedding this, you're allowing this to shed. Yeah. Okay. Let me have a look at your energy post-rebirth, actually. And we have the mirror. We have, oh yeah, the unseen. We have the medallion. And we have, oh beautiful, we have the gem. So, after your rebirth, you are mirroring what's inside of you outwards. So this speaks about this, having this strong core. And I'm actually starting this reading with a gem card because I need to change my battery. I'll be right back. Okay, so I was just about to speak about the gem card, right? And I want you to notice as well, like with the mask and the gem, it's like the uncovering of all of this beautiful energy that you have. The uncovering of who you really are after you've shed this false sense of self. So it's a discovery of, and I say discovery for a reason, a discovery of who you really are, what you're here to create, how you want to live without all of this like heavy shape-shifting, people-pleasing kind of energy. Like, who are you? What do you want? And then going out and being able to actually pursue that. And when you think about how our gemstones formed, it's like very deep in the earth with a lot of pressure around and having like some minerals and water slowly, like bit by bit, trickling into all of these little hollow spaces. And I spoke in the beginning about the imagery that they showed me, that the core of who you are right now looks a bit hollow with these holes in, right? Like it didn't look super stable. And this process that you're in right now, this process of this rebirth, is like bit by bit you are filling these holes in your core, so to speak, with this water and all of these minerals, and this pressure that you're feeling from the outside and from the inside that is driving this rebirth, that is driving you to change and shift. That is the very thing that creates this inner gemstone, okay? Just know that this is part of the process. It's very uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good at all. Most of the time, actually, it doesn't feel good. As you're going through this, most of the time, it's not going to be fun. Like, it's not. There's so much shadow work to do around this topic. But I can guarantee you, when you're looking back, because, like, it's in your cards, okay? So, like, you are destined for this kind of energy. You're destined to uncover this energy of yours. Like, you know, it's not like, yeah, someday, like, no, it's actually showing up here for you. Once you're there and you look back at this whole journey, holy moly, you're going to be so proud of yourself, and you're going to be so glad that you stopped trying to squeeze yourself into spaces you no longer belonged. So that's part of your energy with this mirror is, like I said, you will mirror that outwards. Like, that energy will just, like with this mask here, like it will just shine outwards, just like from every part of your being. Like, people will feel this kind of energy about yourself. Like, it's palpable. Like, when someone is truly authentic and like truly in their power, and they know who they are, and they're doing something that is very dear to their heart, like, you can feel this energy You can just feel it. It's like everywhere. As soon as they enter the room, like, okay, so that person's got it. And that's going to be the energy that you have as well. With mirror and the unseen, I have 2 messages here. The first one with the mirror is, like I said, you are mirroring that energy, that like gemstone energy outward, as well as the mirror in this deck speaks about the qualities of mirroring the energies to another person. That sounds weird when I say it like this. I'm trying to explain it in a better way. It's like because you have grown so much, you will be able to mirror back the people-pleasing tendencies or some of the shadow aspects of other people. You will be a walking mirror in that sense. Like, people will, not because you yourself are doing these qualities or have these qualities anymore, like you're not running around doing the people pleasing, but it's more like you will open the eyes of others and allow them to see themselves clearly. That's what I want to say. Yes, that's exactly that. That's it. You will be able to do that. So part of what you're growing into is someone that creates change for other people. You will be part of, whether you are doing something that's traditionally considered light work or not. I feel like some of you might, but certainly not all of you. It's just you walking around and having regular conversations with your friends where you will be this mirror for them in the best possible way. Because whenever we want to change something, or we need to change something about ourselves, or we do something that's maybe not the most healthy, like, we need to have the awareness first. So then from that awareness point forward, we can make this change. And you will be the person that will bring this kind of awareness to others. But again, like, it's not going to be in a constricted space. It's not going to be like in a shadowy village space. It's going to be in a warm, open space where the people are like, oh my God, cool. I didn't realize that. Thank you. Now I can go make a change, So it's like a healthy balance of allowing each other to grow. That's one reason why we have the eye here. The second reason we have the eye here is that you, throughout this journey, once you will be reborn, it will be quite easy for you to tap into these unseen energies. It's, for example, that's something that I'm doing right now, like tapping into these energies to be able to read your energy, even though I don't personally know you and probably will never meet you ever. It's kind of that kind of energy of being so attuned to these energies. And they're asking me to speak a little bit about the attunement to energies. You are very sensitive, and I know that you are very sensitive because you are the shapeshifter. They're bringing this topic up right now for me because the shapeshifter needs to be very sensitive in order to pick up on the subtleties of communication, the subtleties and energy of the people around yourself. That's the reason that you need to be a specific kind of friend. You need to be a specific kind of child to your parents. You need to be a specific kind of romantic partner, because most of the communication actually that you're picking up there is unsaid. It's like all of these subtle little things that you're picking up on that is influencing the way that you are behaving and the way that you're navigating and the people pleasing. Okay, that's the sensitivity that's coming forth here. With the unseen, you will no longer be in a space where you are attuning your energy to that. You will see these subtle communications. You will see all of these like subtle energies of them trying for you to be a specific way, but you will no longer give into that. Okay, so this is like I said, this really strong core that you have from there, and like you have this sight, like you see it, but you're no longer influenced by it, and you no longer feel like you need to fulfill these unspoken requirements. Okay, with the medallion card, this speaks of, I'm smiling right now because for each of you it's going to be different, but I'm smiling because it's whatever you want. This comes back to the Jupiter card that we saw, where I spoke about the potential and the possibilities. And they're not giving me something specific here. So whatever you want to create, you will achieve. That's the message that they're bringing through. Whatever you want to create, whatever you discover as you're going through this winter period, you know, when the ice thaws, like whatever you see is there that you want to nurture and fertilize and allow it to grow, like whatever it will be, like it will be successful. This is like guaranteed success for you. That's really beautiful. Okay, I think I actually want to speak about what you can do, like how you can move through or towards this rebirth. Let me make some space first though. Okay, and I pulled some cards that we could look at because, I mean, even going into this reading, they told me this would be more big picture, and it really is, but I feel like it's very good to get some more practical steps, because, you know, something like this, it's okay, I need to shed a false sense of self, like, yeah, cool, okay, thanks. You know, thank you, like, you know, it's not really, it's not useful in a way without having some more practical guidance. Okay. So for you, we have the cards of Black Tourmaline with protection, recharging, and grounding. I'm laughing at myself here, okay? We have Last Quarter Release. We have Garnet, Passion, Sensuality, and Grounding. I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that you got grounding twice from this one here. And then we have Pele, Goddess of Volcano, Creativity, Change, and Protection. Okay. So, with release, any way that you can find, any technique that you can find that will help you release specific feelings on why you are pleasing or why you are fulfilling certain labels, why you are holding on to certain identities, is a good place for you to start. Now, I'm a bit biased when it comes to the releasing because I am an EFT practitioner, like EFT tapping practitioner. It's something that I learned, it's something that I do, and it's very, very useful in helping you shed things, because EFT is called Emotional Freedom Technique. It's literally just a technique to signal to your body by like tapping on these points that are known from acupuncture. It's essentially like you are bringing your body into a state that feels calm and safe so that you can start releasing stored emotions and memories from your body. This like removing this emotional charge that gets you triggered, you know, so that you just have the memory, but when you look at the memory, you feel nothing anymore. It's just a memory. So that might be something that you could look into, because there are also on YouTube lots of resources surrounding whatever topic you want to. Like someone will have done some tapping on that. If you're not in a position to see a practitioner or you just want to try it out, great place to start. With grounding showing up twice, you need to ground yourself. You need to ground yourself. I spoke a bit about how you are so caught up in your head, right? Even if I could just change my energy, but if I could just get over this, get over myself, you know, like that kind of energy, like ground. Any activity that you can do that grounds you in your body, and that means you feeling the senses of your body. It can be taking some time to smell some roses. It can be taking some time to feel your breath, like doing breath work. It could be doing any form of exercise to whatever capability that your body possesses, you know, whatever gets you grounded. It can also be when you're, for example, if you're doing your dishes by hand, feeling the warm water, smelling the soap, the dish soap, you know, like all of these things, whatever engages your senses is grounding. Implement that into your life. Do it consciously, do it often throughout the day. And also, you know, because you don't need to do it for an hour. Like, it's great if you got an hour, you can do it, but most of the time it's really good when we start with smaller pieces. So, you know, for like 5 minutes. Okay, so that's one thing. And then we have here, we also got protection twice like recharging. Like this grounding is also a way for you to recharge your energy, because grounding is always bringing all of the energy that's outside inside of yourself and being grounded in yourself. You know, it's a way of centering your energy back. With protection, you could benefit from doing some energy protection. There are lots of meditations that you can find on YouTube, also smaller ones, like shorter ones for 5 minutes. One of my favorite ones or techniques is a bubble protection. Is where you are visualizing yourself surrounded by a bubble of whatever material you can think of. You don't need to know a name for it, you can just envision it. And you can just envision whatever comes at you, just like ricocheting off the bubble, you know, and just declaring that this is my protected space around my energy field. Nothing and no one can enter that I don't want. You know, only benevolent energies are allowed in here. Only beneficial energies are allowed in here. And anything and everything else gets blocked. I don't take anyone else's bad energy on. You know, like all of these. You can basically state all of these parameters, whatever you want. You can also ask your spirit team for extra support. They will help you with this for sure. But that's something you can find some like 5-minute guided meditations on YouTube as well. You can do that. Okay, with creativity, like I said, some of you may be artists, because I also got the image of the paint in the water. If that's you, that's also a way for you to return back into your own world. So make some time to engage with that. And I do have 3 last ones. Yeah. Okay, so we have overcome anxiety, identify negative, unhelpful thinking patterns, put your focus on the now to avoid worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. Put your focus on the now is another way to say ground. Take small steps to overcome your fears, reframe thoughts or situations, seek a professional, and manage anxiety in healthy ways. And then we have for you daily gratitude. Oh, that's great. Shift your awareness towards the present moment. Acknowledge daily miracles in your life. Show gratitude towards what you already have. Wish for fulfillment and joy. Release the past in order to become free. And commit to a gratitude journaling practice. Now we have release the past in order to become free. We have the card of release here, so that's like something else that came up. But with the gratitude as well, it's like you can go about this kind of transformation in 2 ways. You can go about this transformation thinking, oh, why me? And if I could just squeeze my way in, and just focusing on the uncomfortableness of having to shift your life around and change so many things. Or you can actually start to see that in a way, it's not in a way, like it is beautiful. It's kind of like what I spoke about with the gem energy. Like once you're on the other side of it, you really acknowledge the beauty of it. But it's so beautiful to enter into a space of pure possibility. It's freaking our human minds the fuck out. I will also admit that, because it's scary. Like you have no idea what's going to happen. And we don't like that. We like our brains like certainty, okay? That's why we stay in situations for longer than is good for us, because our brain knows what to expect. It's a survival instinct of trying to keep us safe. Whether or not it's good for us doesn't matter, but we know what's there. But that's what's coming through, okay? So try to find things to be grateful for. You could, for example, take a deep breath and be like, I'm grateful for my breath today. And the last one that we have, you are worthy. Allow yourself to receive loving care today without guilt, shame, or debt. Show gratitude and genuine appreciation for the blessings you receive. Believe that you're worth it and that you deserve these blessings today. And distance yourself from people, situations, and relationships that cause you to feel unworthy. And now, as a closing message, they're bringing up something about the flowers and about the second bloom. I feel like some of you have built a lot of time building your life up. Some of you may be even older, or just have put a lot of energy into creating a very specific life with specific people, and actively participated in, frankly, for some of you, I'm getting a theme of divorce here, okay? So that's kind of the topic that we're speaking of, or like completely changing your profession or doing everything at once, actually, for some of you. And this is a reminder for you that even if something already got to its full bloom in your life and the petals are now falling, it's not the end of the flower. It's not the end of the plant. There is always a second run, you know? They come back. It's not the end of your blooming season. It's kind of like for the rose hip. Because you know, for the rose hip to actually come into being, the rose needs to drop all of its petals so that the rose hip can then be revealed. If the rose hip would hold on to all of its petals, we would never see the actual fruit. And it's the same kind of principle that applies to your life. You need to let something go so that the fruit can be revealed. That's very poetic. All right. That's the reading that I have for you today. I will let you know that there are 2 more resources connected to this reading. One will actually be an EFT tapping session surrounding, I don't know, I haven't read the other 2 parts yet, but it will be beneficial for your energies, that's all I can say. And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment, also around the topic of releasing, letting go, and healing, cleansing all of this. Both coming out later this week. If they're already out, you will find them in the pinned comment down below or in the description box. And if you like this reading, let me know how it resonates in the comments down below. I love reading all of your messages. And if you like this video, leave it a like. If you love my energy or like my energy, consider subscribing. And that's all. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye. If you felt drawn to the Judge card and the beautiful, fiery red flowers, then welcome to your reading. And we will actually start this off by looking at your energy. Where is your energy at now? And actually, before we start, I need to say something about this flower because my gaze is massively drawn to the fact that one flower already came off it and it's so delicate. And I feel like this is important somehow. I don't know exactly how yet, but we will get into this. But I feel like some parts of this rebirth, or some parts of your energy have somehow already come undone, so to speak. So this is actually the first card of where your energy is at. It's kind of like the overarching principle of where you're at, and then we have more cards. We have the Mentor. We have the Father. We have the Poet. You got a lot of cards, by the way. We have for you the Desert. Actually, let me bring those down. We have the Crone. And we have the Venom. Let me actually bring those cards down for a moment. Okay, that's better because I feel like we're already we're telling a story here. With this card, with the Judge card, I'm massively being drawn to where your energy is at, in the sense of you have a very, very strong black and white, or black or white thinking. Very, very strong, judgmental energy. But we're already, in this cards, we're seeing where that, you are the product of your environment. And we are seeing in this energy cards here of where that energy of yours come from. And this, by the way, this black and white thinking and this judgmental energy is something that is very, very largely directed towards yourself. Okay, it's less directed outwards and more directed towards yourself. I feel like when you get very angry and very triggered, yes, you can certainly lash out, and this kind of energy spills out to whoever you're in a disagreement with. But I feel like for the most part, it's something that, because you know it's not a good quality and it's not a helpful quality. And I feel like because you know that you are quite good at controlling that so that it doesn't like lash out to others like all the time, but you have the same energy and you just turn it inwards, you know, it's like bottled up inside yourself. But that's the kind of energy that they want to speak of. And when I looked at this card, the first word that I heard was the words overbearing. And usually I find when I look at this card, like I like this image, I like the owl, but it feels overbearing, it feels almost suffocating, like that kind of energy. And I feel it feels so suffocating because it's in conjunction with the Father. And actually I feel like your cards are directly speaking about your parents. So there's a father figure and there's a mother figure that we will speak of in a moment as well. But I feel like this father figure feels overbearing. There is a rigidity present in this father figure that has been in your life. And this rigidity and it's like an energy of serving himself, like only serving himself, like whatever choices have been made, perhaps even for the entire family when it comes to you or your siblings, like all of these situations, all of these decisions that have been made have not been made for the highest good, but they have been made to please one person. And that was this father energy, this like masculine energy. And that's where this overbearing energy comes from. It's like whenever someone did something that went across the line that this person set, and I say it like this on purpose because the lines that this person set were almost all of the time arbitrarily set. And it's like a moving goalpost. It's like it was impossible to try and please this person. But this like rigidity of this thinking, or this rigidity has rubbed off on you, where you also have, because you see like the black and white in this father card is also very, very present here when we have the black and white. It's kind of like mirrored from the energy of the judge here. And I feel like this rigidity is something that you have picked up. Like you've been working on shedding it. I can see it. That's why I said in the beginning, I feel like it's something that's mostly reserved for the way that you are interacting with yourself at this moment, rather than outwards. But I feel like it's present, and that's like a huge part of the origin of. It's almost like you adopted this inner voice, and this, even if for some of you this energy is no longer in your life like present at all, but it feels like they're present because you have adopted that voice. Like it's kind of the same voice that's narrating whatever you're doing inside of your head. So it's like they're still there. That's what they're bringing my attention to. They want to speak for a moment about the imagery of this card, where it's like an open hand and a hand that is saying no. It's like you were coming from this light energy and you were asking for your needs to be met. You were asking for connection. And like each time that you tried, and I feel like it was many different areas of your lives where you tried that, it was denied. Like it was blocked. Like whatever sweet attempt that you tried, it was blocked. It was like, no, absolutely not. Like, get away from me. That kind of energy. So you have a very, very difficult landscape in your mind right now, is what I'm picking up on. It's very it feels a bit barren, in the sense of not a lot of flowers grow there, and it feels like a harsh environment. I can't pinpoint thoughts right now, but also it's a collective reading, so it will be quite different. But the general energy is that what I'm feeling. It's what I'm feeling, like that there are not a lot of flowers growing there currently, and it feels like a harsh, cold environment in your mind. Which actually brings me right to the poet, because the dark energy that this poet possesses is harsh words. And I feel like you have heard a lot of harsh words. And remember when I spoke about how this black and white thinking or this rigidity is largely directed towards you. You see where the head would be? They're like all of these crows, and it's kind of like rippling out. Not really in the most pleasant kind of way that it could expand. It feels frazzled. Like the energy there feels frazzled. And this harshness of words is something, like I said, it's a voice that's narrating whatever you're doing, and it's kind of the same voice of this father energy, but there's also a mother energy present that we will speak of in a second. And there is, to an extent, a consciousness of it. You are aware of that. Because when you look at the poet, like he's holding the moon, and the moon is a symbol of the subconscious. So you have awareness of that to some degree, but you feel like you are lost in the sauce. Like you feel like you are buried alive in this desert, in this barren landscape that I saw as your mind. It's like you're lost there. Like you feel lost there. Like just like literally like this depiction here. Like that's the image that they're showing me. That's how you're feeling about it. And I mean, the desert itself, it's like a very harsh environment. It's not friendly to humans at all. And like even the hardcore humans that are living in the desert right now in this time and space that we're currently in, like even they are congregated in communities, and even they know that there are certain parts of the desert. I mean, I say even they know, but they know more than I do. So, they know that there are certain parts of the desert that you can't survive in. That, you really can't go. And if you go, you need to take so many precautions to go there. And you don't know how to get out of this. Like you don't know, like that this is a problem, and you want to change that, but you're so like caught up in this web, and you don't know how to get out. Like you don't know. And we have, which brings me to, like I said, the female energy, or like I said, like a mother energy that's present, and it doesn't look warm and inviting either, because the crone energy, this like mother energy, is clarified with the venom energy. And the venom energy, I mean, even if you just look at the card, you can already get a great feeling of what this card or what this energy represents. It is this energy vampire. It is turning whatever it touches into poison. It's like poisoning the mind, it's clouding the vision, it's an energy that is in combination with the overbearing rigidity, like basically like a baking recipe for you to get lost in the desert. That's what I want to say. Okay, so they're bringing this up very clearly. Like, I've actually heard the word narcissist now, and I don't mean like narcissist in the more cutesy way that it's mostly used in like social media, where people are like, oh, you're a narcissist. No, I actually mean the narcissistic personality disorder, the one where the narcissist itself or themselves feel like they're a hollow shell, and they're trying to consume everything and everyone that is outside of themselves that has a spark of light, and trying to consume that in order to fill this empty void inside, and to try and feel better, and to try and destroy that which has more spark than they do. And they got nothing. So, that's pretty much everyone that's around. But particularly, I feel like you got the brunt of this. You got the brunt of these two energies combined. And these two energies combined created this feeling of the poet and this feeling of being lost in the desert. And I'm sorry about that. That's really harsh. That's a really harsh environment to be in. Yeah, particularly when we're children and we grow up with that, it's like that's all you know. So how can you expect of yourself like to know anything else? Because that's all you. That's what you. That's what this life was modeled for you. Okay, so it's not only that you are kind of lost in the sauce. It's like it's the only thing that you know. Like the only reality that you know is this. And I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit for that. Which I understand because, you know, sometimes when you are actually acknowledging how bad something is, it can spiral you downwards even further. So, you know, I get it. I'm not saying that anything against that. You know how to manage yourself is what I want to say here. But we will look into what needs to die next. Yeah. Let me make some space here actually, because you have so many cards. Let's see. Okay, so for your cards of what needs to die, we have the card of Ash. We have Venus. There is Sulfur. We have Darkening. And we have the card of Blood. So with all of these cards present here, what's coming to my mind, let me start actually with the Ash card, is, so the image that they're showing me, I spoke about the landscape of your mind and how things are looking barren, and they're showing me this image of this landscape being coated in this layer of ash. And it's like your mind is enveloped by this layer of ash, of the fire. But like ash is something that only occurs after fire has, or in this case, like a fire has burned out or burned down or is almost finished, you know? That's when you start to see the ash, like when all of the logs have crumbled after the fire and are now in this fine powder. I mean, that's kind of the image that they're showing me. So it's like this massive storm, and with the age that you are now and where you are at in your life right now, it's like you are in a position now to clear out this ash, the ash of the mind. And with Venus here, Venus speaks about being pleasure seeking or about pleasure. And it's almost like, it's like pleasure, love, eros. So like pleasure of the flesh, basically. It's almost like for some of you, you have tried to fill that void, or try to let me rephrase that. Some of you have tried to redecorate this landscape of your mind by pursuing relationship after relationship to try and make this mind space feel better. Throughout your life, you have discovered that this is an insufficient way of trying to redecorate because it's only a temporary recoloring. It's like you're looking at the same landscape, but you had glasses on, like sunglasses on, with this beautiful like rose-colored glass lenses, you know? But it doesn't mean that their landscape has changed. It's just what you have in front of your face that you're looking at the landscape with has changed, you know? It doesn't change the landscape itself. And I feel like that's a hard lesson that you needed to learn. Like I said, for some of you, you have tried to use that almost as an act of escape. It's like you're no longer by yourself, so there's someone else to focus on and someone else to fill that void. And you have realized that it's no longer sufficient, because it's only a temporary cover-up of something deeper that needs to be addressed. So I feel like with this pleasure seeking, I feel like it's time for that to die in a way. It's time to address this. Like, you can try and run away from this as much as you want, but it's time for you to address this. And as I'm saying that, you actually might have watched my last reading, because there was also one pile where the topic of the structure of the mind came up really strongly. If that's you, there was the imagery I pulled from the tarot of it's like the Enchanted Forest tarot, and there was this imagery of the woman that had like all of the cuts over her arms, and she was lost in the woods, and all of these branches came out of her head, out of her own head. That was the image of the pile. I don't want to tell you which pile, because I actually do remember for once, but I don't want to tell you, and it's not in the thumbnail either, So if that's you, hello there, dear. I hope you had a good week. So that's what this Venus card is speaking of, is to stop this pleasure seeking, to try and, like I said, for some of you it's romantic relationships, for some of you it's just pleasure seeking in order to avoid, like in an act of escapism. Because, seeking pleasure is not a bad thing at all. It's a beautiful thing to do when you're doing it with the right intention. And the right intention for pleasure seeking is pleasure for pleasure's sake. It's not a pleasure to try and fill a void. It's not pleasure to try and escape and forget. It's more, Anyway, I'm gonna get off course here. And this is actually interesting that this comes up as in like stop pleasure seeking, because we have the darkening, and the darkening, also like the crow looks here and to the mother energy, and this is another crow with almost the same position as well. But the darkening card speaks about the readiness to do the work. It speaks about a descent in the underworld and being in darkness, and being in darkness not in a sense of having life-ending thoughts or whatever. It's about being in the darkness of doing this kind of work, like doing, it's like arriving, it's difficult to describe. It's like arriving at this place of no longer needing to constantly regurgitate the story that brought you here, like it's no longer like, there was a father energy, there is a mother energy, these two influenced me, but it's no longer the focus on what they did. The focus is on what can you do now to release all of these shackles. So that's the focus. It's like the readiness to be in this darkness, in this darker space, and to do this kind of work. You see, we have the snake here, which is the symbol of transformation as well. And the crow is a symbol for doing shadow work as well. So, and they're sitting on a pearl. Like, there is so much to learn from doing shadow work. I know it's really, it's a scary place to go, or it can be a really scary place to go. For a lot of people, it's not really comfortable to look at all of these things, but it's necessary for us to overcome and move forward. Now, with sulfur, it's interesting because what's coming up for me when it comes to sulfur is they're showing me this image of a bath, like a mineral bath. Sulfur can be incredibly healing in a mineral bath. It's one of the ingredients that makes it very, very beneficial for the skin and for the body, but at the same time, it's a substance that smells awful. So it has benefits, but it smells awful. Like, it's really off-putting to our senses. It feels really off-putting to our senses, and this is kind of reiterating what I just spoke of. It's like it's not appealing to go to this space for you. Like, it's not appealing to go into this space, but it's almost this feeling of, like, it's a healing bath. It's like you're going into this darkness, and yes, it will be unpleasant a little bit. Like, it might smell a bit, but like it's healing for the body. It's like detoxifying for the entire body, mind, skin, spirit, soul, like everything gets cleaned up. And you need a bath because like everything is covered in ash here. Okay, so like a bath is needed here. So there's this, the like moving away from the pleasure seeking. It's like you're trying to put a plaster on a wound that needs stitching, and this plaster, like you can plaster it on top, like you can keep, we always have a choice. You can keep doing this and try to handle the situation in this way, but the wound doesn't go away, like it doesn't go away, like it's underneath the plaster. First of all, it can't breathe, and second of all, underneath the cut is too deep, and like second of all, it will fester. And like festering wounds get deeper and deeper and more dangerous, and like eventually life-threatening if they're not medically dealt with in the right way. And you're being asked to deal with it in the right way. And we have, as the last card here, what needs to die is the card of blood. And this card of blood speaks about the life force, about the body. And I feel like you have been, it kind of goes a bit hand in hand with the pleasure seeking. It's like you have been using your body in a very specific way to try and feel more pleasure. I've heard for some of you it is actually using some substances that maybe are not, how can I put this delicately? I'm just going to say that are not beneficial, and you will know if that's you and what this is referring to, because these like substances is something that can range from something like overeating sweets or candy or fatty foods. It can range from there all the way to using recreational drugs when you're partying and drinking a lot, or smoking a lot of weed. There are so many variations to that. That's why I don't want to go into this. But you've been trying to evoke this feeling that you're searching for in ways that are fake, is what I just heard. It's like a fake creation of this feeling by influencing the chemical balance in your brain. And like even when you're overeating, you have specific hormones that are released in your brain that stimulates and leads to specific feelings, so that doesn't even have to be like taking hard drugs, that's the image that they're giving me, and it's time to stop. It's time to take care of your body in a different way, in a way that is actually supporting that kind of work. Because also, listen, when you are taking some substances, whatever they may be, you're actually adding on to the things that you don't feel good about, because it feels good in the beginning, or it feels good while you're in the moment, but the moment after or the day after, it feels awful. Even if you are someone or one of the people who try to fill that void or try to recolor or redecorate this landscape of your mind by jumping from relationship to relationship or from hookup to hookup, it's like, okay, it might feel nice while you're actually in the situation, but the day after or on your way home already, it starts to feel a bit sour, and it's exactly this kind of image of like, how can you create the feelings that you want to feel in a beneficial way for you? Because, certain hormones are also, for example, getting released when you are exercising in a specific way or doing some breath work. There's so many other variations to this, and I feel like you've been leaning very heavily in the darker energy side of trying, like the shadow energy side of trying to achieve these feelings. And again, like there's no blaming you here whatsoever. This is your heritage, okay? You've watched them do this your entire life. Okay, so you are like a sponge. Like as children, we are sponges. We are picking up all of these behaviors from what we see in our immediate environment. And we're like, oh, okay, so this is how it's supposed to be. And you've reached a point now where you are asked to break free from this, to release this, and to find a way that is better for you. That's, I actually love that. I know it feels uncomfortable for where you're at right now, but this is a really, really important stage actually to be at. Like a really important and a really, really good stage to be at. Let me look at where your energy will be, because I feel like it would be good to get some more motivation. You know, it's kind of difficult to go on a journey that can feel like as challenging as this journey feels to you right now. I mean, there's a reason why you've postponed going on that journey, right? Because you can foresee it's not going to be easy. So it will be good to find something to look forward to. So we have the card of the dead end. We have the card of the animal. We have the cave. We have the ring. And we have the destroyer. Okay, I love that. They're speaking about who you will be, like what your energy will be like post-rebirth. It's like you are the cycle breaker. You are, just by me saying you're the cycle breaker lets me know that this energy of like the venom and like the father energy, like this kind of energy and the way of handling emotional difficulties or let's say imbalances have been handled in your family in similar ways that you are applying now. Excuse me, sometimes I can't speak. Have been handled in this exact same way all throughout your family, like on all sides, something that you witnessed. You're a cycle breaker. You are someone that has the great potential and promise to find new ways. And when we are doing ancestral work in this way, and it doesn't feel like ancestral work where you're in it, it will only feel like ancestral work when you're out of it and you can look back and you see the full picture. It's important to say, because when we're in it, it feels like we are alone and we're the only person here. We are actually not just healing our own life, but we're healing completely, like the entire ancestral line as well. So it goes back into past and it goes back into future as well. You know, it goes in all the directions. And that's why we have the destroyer here. The destroyer is an energy of breaking down barriers that needed to be broken down. You know, so it's a really powerful kind of energy. It's also, you see the eyes are highlighted here, and you have the same present here in the animal card. And these eyes are speaking about you having the clear sight, like you see through all of the BS, like you see through all of it. You see through all of it, and because of that, you will never ever get caught in this again. Never ever will you get caught in this again at all. Never. Even if you meet people who are or have a similar kind of energy, like you will never ever get caught in this again. No way. You know, because the animal card speaks about having a very, very strong instinct, like very strong instinct, and being able to follow that. And this instinct is it's like you are developing a whole new guidance system. A whole new guidance system. It's like your highest good comes first, and you will, because you are learning, like all throughout this journey, like you are learning how to, like I said, generate these good feelings that you are currently trying to bring into from the external. Like you will generate these feelings from the inside out. Okay, so you will feel fulfilled by yourself. You will feel happy by yourself. You will feel like your mindscape is no longer a barren landscape, but it's a beautiful garden that you created with all of your favorite flowers and the favorite plants and your favorite trees, and you built the pond of your dreams there, you know, where you can sit in peace and watch the ducks and see all of the koi fish swimming around, and it's a really like beautiful, peaceful kind of place. And because that is your base origin, your instinct will be on point, and you will sniff out immediately when someone else has any type of energy like this, just like a whiff, you're like, nope. Because you are centered and grounded in yourself. And with a dead end here, there is a question as well that you need to ask yourself. And it's, if you keep going the way that you're currently going with the way that you are using the substances, whatever substances, where will it lead you? And we have this dead end card here as sort of like the positive outcome of where your energy will be, in the sense of you will no longer be in this dead end. Which I guess means that I just answered your question. But you are opening up all of these possibilities for yourself to create a life where it just keeps expanding and growing in all of the right ways. You know, you will no longer feel stuck. You will no longer feel like you are buried in the desert. Like this is over, okay? Once you've gone through this rebirth, like this is over. Things are going to change so much that I don't even have the vocabulary to tell you. It will be like you look back at your old life and it will feel like you've lived 10 lifetimes in between. That's the kind of difference of where you are now and where you will be. And we have the cave here as well. And this person here is actually tapping on the 9 gamut point. It's a point that I know from EFT tapping, and it's a point that we use in our practice at the very, very end, when all of the trigger points of a person have gone down substantially, and it's like the last tiny bit, you know, like the last tiny bit, but that's kind of easy to release. That's easy to release. It's just like the very, very end. So this rebirth will bring you to a point where, because we are never 100% healed, you know, there's like always a little something that will come up, but nothing that will ever come up for you again after you've moved through this will be of the same severity. Everything else that will come up throughout your life will feel to you like this 9 gamut point, like this last little thing that I need to do, like easy peasy, lemon squeezy, okay, I know how to release this, and then you will move forward. You know, and with this cave image here, this is the cozy type of cave, okay? This is not, even though here it's depicted as a dark cave, but you see there's also light there, but it's this feeling of being in your own cave, in the sense of you're so centered in yourself. A cave can also be a safe space. When we think back throughout humanity, caves were one of the first places where humans could come together in safe space from the weather around them, wild animals. It was a space that was lit up by all of these I'm searching for the word for fire, but it's not it's a campfire. Oh my god, okay. Lit up, like, you know, with the warm light of the campfire, so it's like a really, really cozy kind of space, and that is your space, and you will know how to go there and to deal with whatever you need to deal with, rather than running away to the outside and trying to fill this void, you know. So it's a completely different way of existing. And with the ring, they want me to draw your attention to what's inside the ring, and this actually is a promise for you that everything, like all of this universe, is present here, okay, in the sense of, on the other side of this, we promise you that there is good for you. We promise you that there is a new dimension. We promise you that once you go through this, nothing will ever be coming at you in the same way that it did before, and there is so much goodness here. So much goodness, and this is like their promise. It's like, promise there is an entire new world for you, waiting for you to explore. It's really beautiful. All right, let me look at some practical cards to end this reading. Actually, let me leave the Destroyer up top, because that is such a badass energy to have. I love that. Okay, so we have for you self-awareness, wisdom, empowerment. We have rainbow fluoride, focus, productivity, and creativity. We have manifestation, create the life you want. And we have Spider-Woman, she who creates from a central source. I'm only laughing a little bit because we have two about manifestation and creation. Listen, when we look at this, we got the focus. Focus on creating the life that you want. It's it in a nutshell. Without the outer influences, without trying to, like, maybe actually if you are one person or one of the people who are trying to redecorate by inviting lots of new people into your body and into your mind all the time, and, you know, trying to divert your attention that way, it might be a good idea to step back from that for a bit and actually just focus on yourself, like focus on creating the life that you want. Like when you are allowing yourself to dream without constraints, like what kind of life are you actually seeing? Like what kind of life are you actually living? What is your mind showing you? Because that can be a starting point for you as well for how you want to move forward. Because she creates from a central source. It's like, you know, when we think about usually creating our life, it's like there's one huge action to take and then we're finished. You know, we just change everything all at once. And well, like, it's a nice image. It's not really the reality. It's like there are all of these tiny steps, and oh, I get up 5 minutes earlier so I can get a 5-minute meditation in, and oh, instead of driving, I will take a walk, or, you know, instead of having like a whole bag of chips, I will maybe just get a bowl and then put a handful of chips in there so that I'm not tempted. You know, like all of these smaller steps and whatever it may be can or are actually the building stones that build and create this new life. So they're bringing this to my attention to ask you, like, what is a smaller step that you can take, but work backwards from what does your dream life look like, and then work backwards. What are the skill sets that you need in order to live that way? What are you doing on your daily activity? Like, what does it look like, and how can you start maybe researching or implementing some of that now? Because also when it comes to learning skills, we're on YouTube. There's pretty much a video about learning how to do anything. It's incredible. Like the free resources that we have nowadays are incredible. So that's one aspect of it with a focus. Focus on yourself. Just focus on yourself. And with a self-awareness, wisdom, and empowerment, that is the first step. You need to be aware of when you are using substances in a specific way in order to run away. Okay, in order to try and redecorate and to actually investigate and take that moment of stillness with yourself to investigate. It might actually also, at this point, I will say, it might also, of course, be very beneficial for you to get some more professional help with this. There are so many different ways that you can work with substance abuse of whatever kind, or you know, like dealing with that kind of energy of the mind. There are so many people that can help you. And I actually need to change my camera battery. 1 second, please. Okay, I just spoke about the professional help, right? Yes. How there are so many different variations to go about releasing any kind of unhelpful patterns, be it helpful patterns of the mind or other kinds of habits. You know, there are so many places to go. I mean, like speech therapy is just one option. Explore your options. See what's out there. See what has helped others as well. Might be a good point for you to research someone who has freed themselves from a similar problem and see which kind of approaches they use, and then try some out for yourself. That's something that's coming through, because, you know, that's about the empowerment. It's like once you start taking steps actively taking steps to release yourself from that and free yourself from that, this will grow. Like, it will feel easier and easier. It just feels really hard when you're looking at the whole mountain, but you don't need to climb the whole mountain at once. It's like you have all of these base camps along the mountain, you know, like on the way to the mountaintop there, like base camp 1, 2, 62, whatever. You know, however many you need, you can always take a rest period. No one is expecting you to do this all at once. No one. Your spirit team is not expecting you to do this all at once. I'm not expecting you to do that, all of that at once. It's your mind that is telling you that you need to do this all at once and it will be too hard. But you're actually going step by step. So once you start on this journey, like it will feel a lot more manageable. Particularly because along the way you will start to notice some situations repeating themselves, and you will, without even thinking about it, like the first time you will think about it, but the second time you will no longer think about it, the new habits and the new patterns are going to become as automatic as the ones that you have now. So you will no longer have to think about it that consciously, and it will be just a new way of being, you know. That's what change grows into. It's like you are just adopting a new status quo on all of your levels. And it feels difficult to implement, but once you start on that journey and you have made some progress, like I said, like you will notice yourself being in similar situations as you have been in the past, and it will be so easy for you to say no. It will be so easy for you to go and achieve a result that will feel even better for you because it's actually helping you, and that will uplift you even more instead of pushing you down. And you will at some point stop and notice and be like, hey, oh yeah, I didn't even have to think about it. That was automatic. And it's going to feel absolutely incredible. And I have 3 last cards for you. The first one we have is overcome anxiety. Identify negative, unhelpful thinking patterns. Put your focus on the now to avoid worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. Take small steps to overcome your fears. It's kind of the base camp analogy that I just gave you. Reframe thoughts or situations that cause anxiety. Seek a professional to help you heal from trauma and manage anxiety in healthy ways. We have create what feels good. Come up with a creative solution to a problem today. Take an artistic class. Bring your creative ideas to life by having the courage to share them with the world. Focus on creating good vibes. Create what feels good in order to achieve success and to inspire others. And this is kind of piggybacking back on what I said about the manifestation. Like, create the life that you want, and Spider-Woman, she creates from a central source. It's like, look at the end vision for yourself, and then from there on, like, go backwards and start to walk towards that. It's like, right, it's like, what kind of hobbies does my end version have? Or like end version, you know what I mean? It's like, what kind of hobbies do they have? How are they spending their time? Like, what are they doing on the weekend? And then start bit by bit to implement that. And then we have life changes. Do something out of your comfort zone today. Continue pursuing a goal while adapting to changes that occur along the way. Have faith, really important for you. Have faith that things will work out for the best. Make positive changes in your life, work, relationship, or situation now. And a change you're experiencing is for your highest good. Now, my beautiful pile number 3s, that's the reading that I have for you today. And coming back to the flower from the beginning, where I said it's so delicate, and I feel like parts of this have already come off. And I really feel like this. It's like you, like I said, like, you know, this needs to change. You have an awareness, you just don't know how to get this last petal off. Like, you just don't know how to release this flower. Like, you don't know how. Bit by bit, my dear, bit by bit, you will be able to do that. I have full faith in you, even if you don't have it in yourself right now, because I know what it feels like to feel so lost in the sauce, particularly like lost in the mind. You can make it out. You can make it out. Now, if this reading resonated with you and you liked it, I would love for you to like and maybe leave me a comment to let me know how this resonated with you. I love reading your comments and your experiences. And I also need to let you know that there will be 2 more resources surrounding this topic. One will be an EFT tapping session to help you release what no longer serves you. And the second one will be a 30-minute Reiki treatment also surrounding this topic of death and rebirth. If it's out already, you will find it in the pinned comment down below and in the description box. If you like my energy and you like what I'm doing here, consider subscribing. And that is all I have for you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and please be gentle with yourself today. Bye. If you chose the Castle card and this beautiful blue flower, then welcome to your reading. And we will actually start this off. Let me place this one over here. Let me start this off by looking at where your energy is at now. So this is kind of the bigger energy, or like the bigger descriptor, but I have a couple more. We have the sword. Move this here. We have the underworld. We have the starborn. And we have the river. By the way, there is a song popping into your mind just when I look at when I turned on over the river card. What's it called? It's like, so the artist's name, he's also a channeler is Lee Harris, and I think it's like David Bozich. And I think the song is called Flowing. It's like, you're a river on a lazy, hazy afternoon. I'll put it down in the description box, okay? Because I have that song. Like, I know what it is. I just need to look it up. We will get into this later. Basically telling my mind, don't distract myself by giving myself songs now. Because sometimes I will hear messages through songs. Okay. You are currently in the process of awakening and in the process of transforming. So your energy is a little bit all over the place. But I will say a little bit, but that's like a natural part of transformation, okay? Like, transformation is not a static place to be in itself. Why do I say that you are in transformation? Is because we have several energies that are contradicting each other. We have the starborn energy, we have the river energy, the starborn energy, starseed energy, very, very clear. The river is, in this card, speaks about, or in this deck, speaks about the transforming qualities that the rivers have, how many rituals take place when you are stepping into the river, like in cultures all throughout our worlds, that the river has always been a place of great transformation, and that once we step into this river and we are willing for the transformation and the river water to wash away everything that once was, we are usually found that this river, or the flow, the current of the river, takes us much farther than we originally anticipated. So these are like 2 cards of transformation, because like starborn as well, when you look at the card here, like the egg is cracked. It's like you've cracked open to remember this knowledge that you are a starseed. I feel like that's something that in your more recent past, for some of you it's happening now, for some of you more recent past, it's something that has been brought to your attention. And it has been brought to your attention because of the underworld work that you have been doing. The other card that speaks about some kind of like split energy or a bit of turbulence is, of course, the sword energy, which this card, when you just look at this, you see that this card inherently holds a paradox, because you have this here, which looks more like daytime, and you have this, which looks like nighttime, but you kind of have a sun here, but you have the moon present here, you have the lightning bolt, and lightning bolt is a symbol of great power that is released in one strike, and it can really put holes in the walls of buildings and completely crack the biggest trees that we have on this planet, crack them just with like one strike, crack them from the very top all the way down to the roots, you know, so it's like massive change. And then of course we have the sword here, so you know, it's another thing that's like cutting something in half. The card of the castle is also speaking about duality. It's like, it's interesting because the castle is a card that speaks on the one hand of material abundance. When you think about a castle, it's a place of displaying great material abundance. It can be a place of fairy tales. Lots of things happened in castles, just in the stories that we tell ourselves, where we have the princesses residing there and then they go out on an adventure and in the end they come back to the castle again being completely changed, usually having found some kind of husband. Let's be real here when it comes to the stories that have been told. And it's this kind of story, but the other side of the castle is, a castle is actually quite a cold place to be. It has these very, very thick stone walls, small windows, and because of the age when these castles were built, they're not really insulated that well, you know, so it's literally cold in there, because the windows are also not really airtight. You have, like, when it's stormy, air coming through everywhere, so it's like quite cold in there, and shadowy, because you never really, I mean you can, but the image that they're showing me is a castle that is lit by torches, and torches can never reach all of the corners, so it has this shadowy energy. How does this play into your energy? This card can speak about, or in the context of this, speaks about feeling held in by this castle and having built something that you once put all of your energy into, but on the other hand, having this strong desire to leave the castle behind, go on your own adventure, and basically like run barefoot through the forest. But actually, this can also speak to your mind space, where there is the shadowy aspect of the castle where your mind is feeling kind of torn between the highs and the lows, and the keyword here is actually depression. We will look which of these sides are more applicable to you, or, you know, it could be that all of these are coming up because I have such a like mixed group with you, with my Pal 3s, that you're like in different variations of this kind of shadowy energy. It's possible. I will see what comes up, but for now, that's what I can say about the castle energy, that this is where you're at. So it's this moment of the moment before the breakthrough. It's like the need to recognize that certain things need to go. And I feel like there is some torn energy because some of you are already doing that kind of work of cutting away what no longer serves you, because we have the sword and the underworld speaks about doing shadow work. It's about being really in there, like really in this work, like doing like the therapy work, doing the self-observation of watching yourself, watching your thoughts, watching your actions, and asking yourself, do I really want to do this? Who am I? And do I want to take this forward with me in my life? So, you know, this is like really the nitty-gritty work of it. It's like working through all of these difficult emotions, all of these feelings that come up when we are realizing that the way that we have lived our lives are no longer working and we need to move forward. It's like that like in the brunt of this work, like most of you actually, I feel like, are in the brunt of doing this kind of work. So first of all, good job there. Okay, it's not easy, and it's most of the time not encouraged for us to go there, because it takes a lot of energy, and then, you know, you're less productive in the outer world, and yada yada yada. I'm not gonna go into a rant, but I feel like, because this is coming up actually in this way, I feel like it's something that you have been met with, and particularly because this is coming up in combination with the Starborn, I feel like there is something awakening inside of yourself right now that's already in your energy field, because I'm picking it up. It's the question of what else is there? Like, what other ways of being are there? What is possible for me? That's kind of a key question. I feel like that's arising out of you doing this work. It's literally like this castle can also be a representation for our societal structures that we currently have. So, like I said before I needed to cough, the castle can also be a representation of society. For example, the way in which our working lives are constructed, and all of these old traditions, because like a castle is an old building, so this speaks about old structures. The way that everything has been conducted, and you realizing that actually, while it may provide some kind of financial abundance, when you don't look at it that closely, because when you look closely, you start to see all of these shadowy energies, you're realizing, this has not been good for my mental health. This has not been good for me on several different fronts. And also, I actually don't want to do this anymore, because I'm waking up to my purpose. I'm waking up to why I'm here. I'm waking up to so much more than I've already been. You know, so there's almost this like juxtaposition between these two, and holding on to this kind of castle structure in order to sustain yourself, which, you know, no shame here. We need money to live, basically. You know, we need money to live. We need money to exist. And particularly when you're waking up to that can feel really, really weird to be in this old environment, while on the inner, like, all of this is churning, all of this is happening. And actually, if we stay in this too long, in the sense of, also, why is my voice cracking that much? Like, I know my voice tends to crack a bit, but not like that. So maybe you need to speak up. We will see what comes up in the rest of your reading, but that's crazy a bit. So what I said, if we stay in this too long, and we stay quiet about this too long. And when I say we stay quiet, it doesn't mean that you run around and tell every single person that you're a starseed, and, you know, there's so much more than the eye can see, and the unseen world, and, you know, all of these beautiful other aspects of our world and our universe. I don't mean it that way. When I mean when you stay too quiet about it too long you are suppressing what wants to come forth for so long, and prolong staying in the situation and not cutting away what's necessary, even though you know it's necessary. That can cause a lot of problems. And I mean, my voice is stabilized now, so maybe that was it. Because then essentially it's not living your authentic truth. It's not living and using your presence here in the way that you're being called to do. And I feel like you are currently in the process of figuring out what that even is, and allowing that inner transformation to take place. And I say inner because we have like the Starborn and the river, and I already spoke about the river, and it's this like transformation that is the direct result of your underworld work. And they really want me to emphasize that you have been doing an incredible job with your underworld work. Okay, you've been doing great. This depression that you are experiencing, or the feelings of depression that you're experiencing, are tied to, we're getting into some more spiritual wisdom here, okay? I have to preface this by saying that while this is the spiritual perspective on this, it doesn't mean that you don't need any treatment, or it's not going to be beneficial for you to go to see a therapist, or whatever else you can do when it comes to handling depression. Okay, these two can coexist. It's not one or the other. I just need to really preface this because it's important. This depression that you're experiencing has its cause, or like a huge factor of, or huge root cause for this, because it can be more than one, is the fact that you are waking up to the starseed origin of yours, waking up to your starseed mission, what you're here to do, what you want to create, how you want to live, is deeply connected to this depression, because your current reality, your current 3D reality, the way that you're living, what you're doing in your day-to-day life, how you're making your money, for some of you also some friends of yours, the way that you spend your time, this is not aligned anymore. And it feels, day by day, it feels increasingly more and more wrong what you're doing, what you're spending your time with. And that mismatch between these two energies is causing this feeling of depression. But again, you are in the process of this transformation. You're not doing anything wrong. It's fine. We get our feelings as indicators to show us whether we're going in the right direction or not in the right direction. So you feeling this type of way about where you're at now is completely understandable. And it's a temporary situation. I feel like it's also very important for you to know that this is a temporary situation, a temporary feeling, because feelings, once we're in them, it can feel that like they will last like this forever. We don't mind so much when it's feelings that we feel are positive, like happiness, joy, etc. But when it's a feeling that we feel is negative, it can feel like it will never end and we will never get out of this and we will always be depressed. And this is just how my life is from now on forward. And they're really adamant to let you know that that's not the case. That is here for a period right now. It is information for you. And if you can allow it, it will guide your transformation forward, because it will very clearly show you what's working in your life and what's no longer working, and what's no longer working needs adjustment and refinement. In some cases it needs to be cut out and replaced completely, but overall it's a message for you that something needs to be refined. So even when you're thinking about someone who has a burnout, for example, they also just need to stop completely for a moment and start to recover. And this burnout, this hitting the wall, is kind of the wake-up call. All of these heavier negative feelings that we're experiencing are wake-up calls for us to notice that we're not going in the right direction for us, that we're not doing something in the right way for us. Okay, so they're really adamant about this. Okay. I want to look at what needs to die next, and then we will look at where your energy will be. So we have for you the glass. We have rotation. We have the Great Serpent. We have gold. We have the raven's head. And we have vinegar. Let me rearrange that so everything fits. Okay, so that's really interesting to me, because this is speaking about your spiritual journey. So, like I said, the question was what needs to die in your life? And what needs to die in your life is an old perspective. And I'm saying that because with these two cards, with a glass, just when you look at this, you see that through the lens, everything is clear, and outside of it everything is really foggy. And there's an old perspective that needs to die, because we have rotation here, and the image that they're showing me with these two cards is someone holding a kaleidoscope, and you know, you kind of need to twist the kaleidoscope, like twist it to see a different picture. And it's this twisting of the picture, like allowing a new perspective, and like shifting your perspective. And this perspective shift, by the way, for you, it's going to come in naturally because of this awakening process that I spoke of already. And this, like you just keep doing this kind of underworld work that you've been doing, and asking yourself all of these questions that you have been asking yourself. And like, it's natural, like this perspective shift is a natural byproduct of this awakening that you're currently going through. It's basically, what I'm trying to say here is, whether you like it or not, your perspective is changing. Your perspective is broadening. The kaleidoscope is currently in the process of being cracked to a new position for you. And there is nothing you can do to make it stop either. Okay, it's a natural part of the awakening. But that is something that is currently happening, and you need to allow yourself to adopt this new perspective of what's coming in. Do your research when something comes in, be curious about it, observe it. And it's kind of almost, I say it's kind of almost, like, it's funny to me, the cards that we have following, because the Great Serpent speaks about the quantum realm and like being in the quantum realm. The gold speaks about illumination. The raven's head speaks about initiation and that the new work begins, or the work begins. And vinegar speaks about the distillation, speaks about this process of distillation. So you see like how all of these are lined up. It's the whole story that they're telling us. It's like your perspective shift, because your perspective shifts right now, and you're allowed, let's assume you're allowing the old perspective to die and you're adopting the new perspective of the broadened view of the universe. Because of that, you are in the quantum realm. We're always in the quantum realm. That means we are in the space where all possibilities exist and we can create, and it's in the topic of manifestation as well. We are in the space where we can create and choose a different future for us. It's the topic of shifting timelines, moving to different timelines in our lives, and timelines that are in alignment with who you are becoming. So it matches your newfound energy. That's why it's so important to adopt this new perspective shift and to allow this to happen, to allow this to naturally occur. Depression, or like symptoms of depression, are, when it comes to ascension, something that is, to my knowledge, quite common. But again, like I said, doesn't mean that there's no further support needed or help needed. Like, always cover your bases, and you can always benefit from getting additional help, point blank. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's something physical, something mental, like getting extra professional healthcare support from whoever you trust, whatever works for you, is always the best way for you to move through something. You need to put that out there. But again, this like a great serpent and like being in this quantum realm, like I said, it brings you in this quantum realm where you have different possibilities of how you can move forward. And you have the illumination here with the gold energy. When you're allowing that perspective shift to take place for you, and to allow yourself to see our universe from, or with a broader viewpoint, and you start to realize that things are not as, how shall I put this? Things are not, like in our lives, things are never as solid as we perceive. Things that we thought were set in stone are actually only set in stone in this current timeline that you're in, or in this current reality that you're in, but it's possible to shift and change. This is a really complex topic, and I feel like not going that deep into it, only because you are more in the beginning stages. So I will speak a little bit more about this, but don't worry, I'm gonna stop waffling on about this for like very shortly, very briefly, because I feel like some of you are losing patience with me. It's okay. It's all right. Okay, I'm just delivering like the first step of this message because, like I said, with a perspective shift, it's something that you will want to investigate naturally. So I'll keep it brief. This perspective shift will allow you to tap into possible futures, into different futures, and it will allow you to shift timelines. You will do that. You will allow the old timeline that you're currently in with all of the struggling energy of, for example, specific ideas surrounding work is something that's coming up. So, for example, the idea that you need to break your back in order to just make a living to barely come by, so scarcity mindset, for example. These are all ideas that will die because our abundance, because our universe is abundant. And you will start to dive deeper into the energy that you yourself possess and what you then create from the inner to the outer. This is this illumination. Like, you need to allow this to get illuminated. All of these perspectives. With this illumination, and like I said, the raven's head speaks about the new work begins, or an initiation. And this process of allowing this perspective, this old perspective to die, is an initiation into a new way of being. Like I said, you will be in a position where you can basically pick and choose where you want to go. And there is a new type of work waiting for you. This type of work is twofold. The first new type of work that you will experience is, like I said, more ease when it comes to making good money and doing a job that fulfills you, that feels good to you. And you will easily make all the money that you need and that you want, so there will be ease on that front. The second part about the different kind of work is once you start to activate that starseed energy and start to uncover what your purpose is, etc., there is a different type of personal work needed for that as well. That trickles down to the coping mechanisms or the supportive tools that you are using now need to change accordingly, according to your perspective shift, because specific shows, for example, that you are, to give you just like a really mundane example, specific shows that you were able to watch that calmed you down will no longer have the same effect on you. The same when it comes to music. Your taste in music might change because you will hear music differently. You will experience the vibration that comes off that differently. You will feel the energy of the artists differently, and it will no longer have the same effect of you. In fact, some of it may actually be off-putting, and you're like, how did I ever like this? So there's like the new type of work as well. It's like the self-discovery of recognizing and understanding who you are now, who you are currently evolving and changing into. So that's what this card speaks of. And with the vinegar, it speaks about the balance that is needed. What needs to die is an overdose. An overdose, when I say that in this context with vinegar, I mean using too much. Vinegar as a substance is a substance that we use, for example, when we're making a salad dressing. Vinegar is delicious once you get the balance of the dressing right. If you use too much vinegar, it becomes almost unpalatable because it's too sour and all you taste is vinegar, and your whole face scrunches up and it's not pleasing. If you don't use enough vinegar, it doesn't taste right either. It tastes bland. So there is a need to let the too muchness, great word I know, to let the too muchness in your life die and to find the right balance. It's looking at your life and finding the things where you have done too much, where you have indulged too much, but also with working, it's like finding and realizing where have you done too much, where have you been giving too much of your energy where it was not. What? Wait, I heard a word just now. Reciprocated? No, that's not right. Where it wasn't given back to you, I would just leave it here. because I can't. It's the third pile, and I don't know, my mind is a bit jumbled now. Anyway, where this energy that you've given to something was not brought back to you or compensated in any way, you know, like overcommitment at work, for example, or overcommitment when it comes to friendships, just like wherever you have given too much of your energy without it being a balanced give and take, because that's the like topic of this, like the balanced give and take, you need to let that die as well. Where you have given not enough or where you have received not enough, same thing, balance. But this balance, like I want to emphasize, is coming at the end of this journey. Okay, not everything needs to die at the same time. This is a journey, this is a process. We spoke about this, and it comes right after this new type of work. And because the work is coming up so strongly, I feel like really for a lot of you, that's a starting point. Okay, I just heard starting point. So for a lot of you, that was the starting point to wake up to other possibilities, was this work-life balance or the work balance that was not there. And it's going to be fine. Like, you're going to find the right balance for everything. Start step by step, see where you can already start to implement more of this balance aspect. Where can you allow yourself to rest? Where can you allow yourself some time to play? Can you allow yourself some time to enjoy whatever you want to enjoy, whatever you're into, you know, explore your possibilities. When you're waking up to this like starseed energy, it's also that there are, because of the type of work that we as starseeds usually do, that are, I will say, like more traditionally in the spiritual field, because like starseeds are present in all professions as they should be. You will start to get more curious about what's there, you know? So already, like from the job perspective, there will be like a whole field opening up for you where you're like, oh my God, I didn't know it was possible to make good money with, let's say, tarot reading or oracle reading or whatever it is, you know? So there's this whole new discovery, and there's a possibility here for you. Spoke about this. Okay. I actually feel like looking at where your energy is going to be once you've been through this rebirth. And for you, we have, oh my God, I love it already. We have Kairos. I say I love it because this card speaks about mythic timing, about synchronicity, about being in the right time, at the right place, doing the right thing, you know, that like everything is lined up. And because we also spoke about the quantum realm with the great serpent, it's this feeling of like you are on your mission and whatever you need comes to you when you need it. It also speaks about having an energy that is grounded in a very, very deep sense of trust, because it requires a lot of trust to not have to go out and do everything by yourself, but do what you can do and then trust the universe, because you're in alignment with the starseed energy. Then allow the universe to bring you what you need in order to pursue on your journey, because you're doing that type of work. You know, that's what this card speaks of. Yeah, we have the thread. Yeah, you're connected. Like you are connected, you know, connected to your soul mission. You are pursuing your soul mission, and like step by step you are moving forward. We have the orphan. It's interesting. We have the unseen. We have the ring. We have one more. We have the king. We have the ring and the king. Okay. That was a bad pun, I'm sorry. It wasn't even a pun. I just thought it rhymed. Unnecessary. Okay, moving on. With the orphan, I find it really interesting that it comes up in conjunction with the starseed, because one aspect of the starseed or having starseed energy is kind of waking up and realizing, oh my God, who am I? What am I doing here? Why is this energy here so strange? Why does no one see the world the way that I do? Why is everyone fighting? What is going on? Why is the whole world on fire? Why is everyone fighting? First of all, why are they fighting about this? This is unnecessary. Why don't you just understand their viewpoint? Why are you just not like living to let live? Like, you know, it's not a problem that someone else has this opinion and you have this. Like, they're like, you can just peacefully coexist. It's that kind of questioning that comes up, and it can have as well, because usually starseeds are born in families where, and environments where there are not many people around that have and carry the same energy. It's like you wake up from this kind of deep slumber, you recognize you are a starseed, and then you start to slowly like change your life, and then you start to move forward with your soul mission, and you meet more starseeds, because we're like doing all of this, all of us are doing this kind of work, and that's when the connection comes in. So there's this feeling of loneliness and feeling of almost being like abandoned, because most of us are also growing up in families where to some extent like our sensitivities and our emotional needs are not met because the people around us can't. And it is this way because we signed up for the soul lesson. We needed to learn what it's like to not be connected in order to do all of our healing work, so that we can be healers and guides for others who had similar experiences. And, you know, we are the awakened ones in our families, and by the people surrounding us, watching us, they will pick up a thing or two. We raise the vibration, they start doing some work of their own, you know. It's kind of this like whole ripple effect. And this orphan energy speaks about, like I said, like after you've gone through this orphan energy speaks about you coming together with your soul tribe for one thing, but it also speaks about you no longer feeling like you are that orphan child, because you have a broader understanding, a bigger perspective. You will understand where you are from and what energies you are connected to, which brings me to the unseen. You will no longer feel like the orphan because of what I just said, but the second aspect of that is your spiritual gifts are, like psychic gifts are awakening. You are connecting consciously to the unseen, and because of that, you are connecting to souls and energies that are like you are, because they are from the same place that you are, even if they're not physically here right now. And that's going to alleviate this feeling of loneliness to a very large extent, and you will no longer feel like this orphan. You will feel like, sometimes you will feel lonely. I'm not gonna lie to you, it can be quite lonely to do this kind of work still, but you will know where you're from, and that negates this feeling of being orphaned. Yeah. With the ring and the king, I can't stop, I'm really sorry. I think I've been recording for too long now, because I've done these back to back actually today. So, with the ring and the king, I'm so sorry. There's not even a joke here. I don't know what's up. All right, so with this king energy, it's like having full authority over your life. I spoke about the quantum realm and how you are in a position of being able to pick and choose where you want to go with your life, what you want to create. That is what this king energy speaks of. It's like the mastery of that kind of energy. And that's why we have the ring here. On the one hand, it's a promise ring, but for you as well, it speaks about your, like for all of the rest, I wanted to say for all eternity, exactly. For all eternity of your life here, you will be able to pick and choose your realities, your timelines, and you're going to be able to go through them. Like you see this portal right here, just like walking through them, and you see the snake here. There's this like constant cycle of rebirth and transformation that you are currently, or that you will be in. And it's no longer, I feel like it's important for you to know, like it's no longer of the same caliber that it's connected to feeling depressed. It's more like going from happy to happier to happiest, and bit by bit like shifting all of these areas of your life into a way that you feel truly at home here, that you feel truly peaceful in the life that you're living. And that's when this river energy, when you will remember this river energy. I'm bringing this up now again because of the Kairos card, because this song speaks about when things are flowing in flow like a river, you know. It's just things are happening, like the current is taking you like in a very peaceful manner, just taking you, things are flowing into your life however you need them to. It's a really beautiful energy to grow into. I love that for you. I have one last question for you, or questions asked, and that is, how can you move towards that energy? So more along the lines of which practical steps can you take to move to that energy. Actually, we had the ring and the king like this. I messed the order up. And for you, we have space. Hold space for your difficult emotions. We have balance. Recognize and accept the light and dark within you. We have jade, emotional and physical healing. We have Dana, the flowing one, mother goddess of forest people and fairy. I'm laughing a little bit here because, I mean, first of all, the flowing one, but Dana is a goddess that is described as being the river. Like, I think in the guidebook it says something along the lines of, you can meet her on the shore at sunset, on the shore of a river and a forest. Where river and forest meet, you can meet her and give all of your worries to Dana. She's also, she's an Irish goddess, like a mother goddess. There is something about the, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, it's like Tuatha De Danann, and the she, so fairy people. That might be something for you to research there, actually. Because I feel like there is some connection, it might be connected to like starseed and like where you're actually from. Okay, and oh, sorry, I didn't show you. We have rest as the last card. So, with holding space for your difficult emotions, that's very clear. I spoke already about the feeling of depression. I spoke about the underworld work that you have been doing, and like holding space for difficult emotions. Like I said, like it's difficult to kind of wake up and have this feeling of like, why is everyone fighting? What's going on? Who am I? Why are they like this? Why am I like this? There are so many difficult emotions and like emotional storms, almost like a tornado, you know, like going through the landscape and just bringing everything into like an emotional whirlwind going on when it comes to awakening, because it's like it's rippling out through every area of your life. It's like it's your work, it's your friends, it's your family, it's your romantic relationships, it's the way that you spend your time, the way that you treat yourself, it's what's going on in the larger world, etc. Like, you know, it's like everything. It's a complete shift in reality, and that with that comes so many difficult emotions. And what does it mean to hold space for difficult emotions? Because I feel like it's very easily said, but not discussed that often. It actually means that the emotions that you're having are physical experiences. You are sad, you're experiencing sadness. How does that feel in your body? To actually take time to sit down, maybe put on some soothing music if you want, and then ask yourself, how does this feel in my body? How am I feeling right now? you could actually start incorporating that, for example, 10 minutes before you go to sleep, that you take 10 minutes to sit in quiet, to just ask yourself, how am I feeling? And then see and feel what arises in your body, because stress, for example, can manifest as tension in the neck or in the shoulder, or anxiety. For me, for example, is something that I can feel in my chest. It feels like it's like constricted and tight, and it feels like I can only take a shallow breath, like I can't breathe deeply. And it can also sit for me in my, I feel it like in the pit of my stomach, and it feels like there is some kind of like acid churning, and just feels wrong. And my mind is like hyper alert, like my whole systems are on fire, is kind of that feeling, depending on, I mean, anxiety is a scale depending on where I'm at. And these are physical sensations. So start to feel them in your body, be present with what it feels like in your body. And the thing is, these difficult emotions, they want to be felt. Once you start allowing yourself to feel them, they are most of the time more than happy to leave on their own. Depending on how intense it is, of course, they might be there for a bit longer rather than just 5 minutes, but usually they just want to be felt, they want to be experienced, and then they can leave. If you want some more help with allowing your feelings to pass through your system, through your body, I'm biased, but I will say it regardless. EFT tapping is something that is really powerful. I say I'm biased here because I am an EFT practitioner. I got a certification for that, and it's like the tapping on different points of your body. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and that's what it is. Like you're tapping on the different acupuncture points of your body, and you are essentially bringing your body into a state of feeling calm and safe, so that whatever is in the storage, like from an emotional aspect, can be released. That's what EFT does. It's what the tapping does. And it allows you to, when it comes to memories, for example, or just feelings in general, or feelings that are connected to memories, etc., you get the idea. It allows you to release and let go of the emotional charge that it has. So, for example, you could think back to a memory and no longer feel triggered because you have, through EFT, like removed the emotional charge of it. Okay, so there are lots of videos online that you can find for whatever feeling you have, whatever. On YouTube you will find a gold mine. Okay, so you can start there. Of course, it can never like replace a one-on-one treatment, but it's an incredibly great and powerful starting point for you. So you can look into that. With like balance, recognize and accept light and dark within yourself. I feel like that is self-explanatory. It's allowing yourself to feel your feelings is one aspect of that. It's like a huge part of that. It's like no longer suppressing. It's the balance. I think I spoke about this earlier as well. And we have Jade with like emotional and physical healing. There are lots of ways that you can go about emotional and physical healing, right? Something like EFT is one technique, just one technique that you can do, but there are so many other techniques for emotional healing and physical healing. Do your research, try out different things as well. Try out what works for you, because like I said, I spoke about how your old coping mechanisms are going to change as well. Try out new things. This starseed energy as well will activate a need for different kinds of treatments as well. You know, like alongside the more, I will say, traditional ones. For more, or let's maybe not say traditional, maybe not say conservative ones, for more alternative ones. Try out different things, see what works for you. And I need to change my battery, I'll be right back. Alright, I spoke about Jade, and then we have Dana, the flowing one. Some of you are being asked to spend some time in nature, particularly the forest. If you can go and visit and spend some time there, and listen to all of the sounds that are around you, and allow this like calm energy of the forest to change some of your energy, because it's actually really powerful. It can be really, really powerful. For some of you, some others, I would highly encourage you to research Dana, the goddess. See what comes up for you, because I feel like some of you have some heritage here, some connection to this, to Dana, to the fairy, to the she. Yeah, do your own research. If it resonates for you, you will know. That's all I can say right now. And then we have rest. I feel like you're exhausted from doing all of this work. And I mean, depression as well is a major sign, or depressive feelings is a major sign that I spoke of already, that something was not aligned or something is not aligned anymore. And it's exhausting to try and keep up appearances and to try and keep things in place the way that they were. It's exhausting. So you need to give yourself time to rest. It is not easy on the body to go through a process of awakening. It's actually quite hard on the body to navigate all of these new energies, to do all of these upgrades, etc. It's hard on the body. Our bodies need to adjust to hold higher frequencies and more energy. And that's why also sometimes we can get something like, I'm going to say spiritual flu. You can research your own ascension symptoms, by the way. But it's hard on the body, and you may find yourself in a period where you need more sleep, or you need more rest, and give that to yourself. It's not that you are crazy tired because of whatever, or that something's wrong. It's because your body needs more time to repair and adjust. All right. I have 3 more cards for you. The first one is, this is meant to be. Accept the feelings in your heart as truth in this situation. You're in the right place at the right time. Doors are opening for you. Take a leap of faith and walk through them now. New opportunities will appear at the perfect time, and you are fully supported on your journey. We have, do what you love. Do what you love. Have more fun. Discover activities that suit your current tastes and interests. I spoke about this. Make time to enjoy a hobby on a regular basis. Teach others by passing on your skills or knowledge. Join a new group or club, and choose the path or decision that brings the most joy. And then I have create what feels good. Come up with a creative solution to a problem today. Take an artistic class. Bring your creative ideas to life by having the courage to share them with the world. Focus on creating good vibes and create what feels good in order to achieve success and to inspire others. And I feel like you're headed towards creating what feels good in order to achieve success and to inspire others. It's like a natural progression. I spoke about this. All right. So, my beautiful Path 3s, this is the reading that I have for you today. I would love to hear how this resonated for you in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this reading, give me a like. And if you enjoyed this reading, consider giving me a like. I will say there are 2 additional resources going hand in hand with this reading. One will be an EFT tapping session surrounding this like death and rebirth energy. And the second one will be a 30-minute Usui Reiki treatment, also up here on YouTube, also surrounding death and rebirth. Both coming out later this week. If they're already out, you will find it in the pinned comment down below or the description box. And I will leave the song that I spoke of in the description box under resources for you, actually, because I feel like you need to listen to that. And that's all that I have for you. If you like my energy and you enjoy my kind of work, consider subscribing. And that was the last YouTube stuff I had to say. Okay, that's it. I'm finished. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.